Well, all this time, or several times, you've mentioned things that haven't made money, but things are thriving here. And what do you publish, and what have you published that's kept you going?
Well, our keystone magazine is Prevention,
Mm-hmm.
which was started in 1950. So we now publish 10 magazines
Okay.
and a lot of books. We cover the basic subjects of health. I think health, not only prevention, but men's health. We have a magazine and some health newsletters, a lot of health books.
Nothing for women's health?
Well, we had a magazine called Women's Health, and it turns out that women are so inundated with health information, and they go to doctors 6 times as much as men,
Mm-hmm.
so they didn't want a magazine. But men are just walking inquiries into health. They don't want to tell their wife that something bothers them, and they don't go to doctors much. So
But they will read.
they will read. So
Mhm.
that's they want to read their own magazine, and that's now quite successful.
So prevention and men's health and any others
But
you
then
want to mention?
we have this whole sports group that I was on the Olympic team in 1968 as a shooter, and that put me in contact with bicycle racers and runners.
I wanted to ask you if you would to talk a little bit about the periodicals, the magazines that you publish.
Mhm.
You had mentioned prevention and, of course, organic gardening.
Right, and we have others. American Woodworker, we now publish woodworking,
Oh,
and we're testing a magazine now called Good Spirit. My daughter Heidi is editing it with
Mhm.
me. It's an inspirational magazine. Before you leave, I'll give you a copy. But Good Spirit is very important to what I perceive as the future of the organic, sustainable idea, because I think there's definitely a dimension of the spirit in the people's relationship with the land and with gardens
mm-hmm.
and with their environment.
Mhm.
And
This hasn't been talked about very much in the past. Would you
No.
enlarge on that a little bit?
Sure. Well, I just want to say one other thing, that about Rodale Press, the health idea came through as prevention, but it all came from a letter of one reader of organic gardening in 1949 who complained that there was too much health in organic gardening. Said, I thought I was subscribing to a garden magazine, and you got all these articles about the health of food.
Your father must have loved that.
He said, that's all I needed, you know. So he said, I got to start this health magazine. And I told him, I said, I think that's a really bad idea, because it's so controversial. And he said, no, I'm going to do it. And I asked him, I said, what are you going to call it? He said, Prevention. I said, oh, that's a terrible name for a magazine. And he said, no, he sort of smiled and said, just watch what happens. And Prevention was very successful from its first issue in 1950, and that really saved Rodale Press. If it hadn't been for that, we would have gone down the tubes, because the whole work we've done in agriculture and gardening not only never made money, but it's always been very costly.
Mm-hmm.
So the income, or the money that we needed to do the research and to keep the organic gardening going, there were a few years when organic gardening was profitable, but it never really, those are minority times.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the whole history of Rodale Press, the move into health was extremely important.
And this letter from this reader
Yeah.
back in '49.
Yeah.